despite the ongoing pandemic. We are going to mark the beginning of IEEE Sprout today. IEEE Sprout is a membership development program organized by IEEE Student Branch of Southeastern University of Sri Lanka. Here, our aim is to provide an opportunity to university students to become more aware of the importance and benefits of IEEE membership. This time, the theme of IEEE Sprout is Let's Grow Together. So, let's grow together. With that expectation, let us move to the first event of IEEE Sprout, the Python workshop. This Python workshop is conducted as a support to the Code Crate 1.0 competition. Through this workshop, you will learn the basics of programming and you will be familiarized to the HackerRank platform. First of all, I invite Mr. Pivituru Shashadara, the treasurer of IEEE Student Branch, Southeastern University of Sri Lanka, to welcome you all.
Welcome you all to this great evening. As a brief introduction, the IEEE Sprout is a membership development program which aims to provide an opportunity to SEUSL students to become more aware of this importance and the benefits of IEEE membership. And today we are going to have our first workshop in the Python, and there will be more. So I think you all will use this opportunity to boost your coding knowledge. So thank you very much. Ganesha, audience is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Pivituru. Next, I invite Professor Mohammed Halim, our student branch counselor, to address the gathering. Sir, over to you.
Good evening, students. First, I would like to thank the team of students who are the officers of Southeastern University of Sri Lanka IEEE Student Branch, the chairman Vipula Vakkumbura and treasurer Pivituru and others in the team. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to say a few words at this time. Obviously there are now I can see 94 participants. We already have many members, but there are many newcomers as well. So this is going to be an interesting event. Now there are a series of events starting from now. Tomorrow also it will continue, as I understand. So today's event for 6:30 to 9:30 is a Python workshop. So I hope everyone will benefit from this workshop. It will be an enjoyable event in the series of events. I would like to give a short introduction to this IEEE and what is our role and when we started these activities and where we are and so on. All right, so what is IEEE? So maybe the newcomers may want to know if you still don't know. IEEE stands for Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers. Now, this organization is international, as you may know. Now, at the beginning, historically, IEEE has been IRE. IRE standard for Institute of Radio Engineers. Now, so the electronics, you know, the early stages of development of electronics mainly associated with radio, like wireless communications. So, so it was formed as a IRE or Institute of Radio Engineers. And then as the technology advanced, then the electronics got into other areas in the electrical engineering and computer science and engineering, right? So communication, starting with communications, and then the electronics got adapted to computer engineering, like in computers and power electronics, right? There were different branches popping up. So later on, so the organization felt the need to include all other branches, and it grew and grew, and the name was changed into IEEE, Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers. So I hope you have had a chance to look at some of the information on the IEEE website. So now it incorporates almost every field in electrical and electronic engineering, telecommunication, computer science and engineering, and even other fields in the technology, right? So biotechnology and so on. Right. So now it's a huge organization, international organization. At the moment, there are around close to 396,000 members over 160 countries. Now, the structure of this organization, there are 10 regions. The world is divided into 10 regions. We are region 10, Asia, mainly. So Sri Lanka is part of region 10. So I have been a member of this IEEE since 1994, right? I joined as a student member, and then later when I actually as a postgraduate student, and then when I completed my studies, then I became associate member. And then from associate member, then after certain number of years services, then I became a member. And then currently, several years ago, I became a senior member. So hopefully, depending on how much time and effort I can devote, I can become a fellow of IEEE. Now that will be the highest, position in IEEE. But it will take a lot of efforts and time, right? Now, under these regions, under region 10, we have chapters, what you call sections, right? So Sri Lanka section. So under Sri Lanka section, we are operating under this section. And student branches, there are many student branches over the world, and in our country, in Sri Lanka, almost, I think by now, all the institution offering engineering programs have established a student branch, and we were the last one in that list. And then there are maybe other universities with programs in computer science and engineering and technology also have established their branches. Now we formed our branch very recently, right? It's like when was it? Like in January, I guess. March 23rd, 2021 was the official approval date. So our dean had gave us a lot of support, and our head of the department, Dr. Alahakon, and the head of the department, computer science engineering, Dr. Chintaka Kumara, and as well as many of our staff members gave their the full support in order for us to get this established. And then we came to know about the Sri Lanka, the chairman of the student activities, right, Dhammika Marasinghe. He gave a lot of support. He worked with us very closely, and then provided all the information and instructions for our students to proceed with the application process, and then it got approved. Then from the date of approval, our students have progressed very fast, to my understanding. Now they participated in an international competition called IEEE Signal Processing Cup 2021, right? And then we held our annual general meeting. That was kind of a requirement for us to initiate our series of activities for the year. So that happened in May, and then many of our students and also the officers, right, participated in the events and workshops organized by other student branches and Sri Lanka section in general in the country. So there are many. There is some event from some university, University of Moratuwa, University of Peradeniya, they conduct, like what you are participating today, this Python workshops. There are many such workshops organized by other student branches. So our students participated in that and benefited, I think. And also our students had a chance to become active volunteers in the events and activities organized by Sri Lanka section. So there are many benefits on top of those. Okay, and recently there was this island-wide activity known as IEEE Underharrier, right? So this it was a membership drive. So following that activity, our membership, the pool increased, in fact. And today is the next event in that series of activities our students have organized. So it is Sprout. So they have chosen an appropriate name for it, right? So we laid the seed and then now it became a sprout, right? So yeah, we are progressing very well. Now, as I said, so IEEE is a large organization, then there is a structure. There is a structure in terms of geography, and then there is a structure in terms of the fields. There are hundreds, I think many, close to 100 societies in communication, power, electronics, and computer engineering, like that. For different fields, there are different societies. So a general IEEE member can become a member of any number of societies by paying an additional fee, which is very nominal. And then participation in those societal activities will lead us to get to go to their conferences with the reduced registration fees and so on. These are some of the benefits. There are many more. And right, so you may have heard about another organization named IEEE. So the IEEE, the headquarters in US, in New Jersey, it is there. But that was it's originated in US, in fact. So before that, there has been another international organization known as IEEE, Institute of Electrical Engineers. That's in UK. Now the name is different. It is IET, Institute of Engineering Technology. But these two organizations, IEEE and IET, they collaborate in many activities. For example, there is a website known as IEEE Explore. There's a database of all the journal and conference publications from IEEE mainly, but then they also host publications from IET. So likewise, there are collaborations for in conferences, etc. Right. So the benefits are many in becoming a member of IEEE and participating in activities and having initiatives. So I think tomorrow there is another Zoom meeting, so we will discuss those aspects further. So without spending more time, so I will stop here and let you continue with your today's program, which is the Python workshop. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. So without any further delay, let's move to today's event. So Mr. Punsisi Kirindana and Mr. Lahiru Prabhat, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I am Punsisi Kirindana from E16 batch. Today, first we'll cover some basics and some advanced theories that you will require for Python hackathon competitions, and then you can do your self-study and some practice for the tomorrow's competition. And there are many more competitions worldwide and also in Sri Lanka. Like in Google, they organize several similar competitions like Code Kick and many more competitions. So you can participate in those international competitions also. And other than that, in Sri Lanka, there are several competitions organized by several universities in Sri Lanka. So there also you can participate and try to do your best and win those competitions after getting the start from this workshop and doing your self study and practice. Thank you.
Uh, Good evening, everyone. I'm Lahir Jaikodi, representing Department of Electrical and Telecommunication Engineering. As my colleagues and chairman explained, so the aim of this workshop is we are going to conduct a workshop of Python because you guys are going to be facing a competition soon. So we hope you guys do not have many experience with that. But we are not going to conduct Python from scratch because we assume E19 guys and E18 guys. E19 guys still learning from the first semester, and also the E18 guys were learning the Python. But today, our main goal is giving you some brief explanation for important techniques, important aspects of the programming in Python. So how can these things cooperate when you are going to face in a competition like what you are going to do in next. So we don't want to talk much about things. Let's dive into our presentation. So if this is our content, you guys may have some brief idea about the variable. What is a variable? So what is a string? What is an integer? The data format of Python. So you guys may have trained in your semesters. So, but now we are going to give you some valuable. We are going to touch some valuable aspects. Okay, let's dive. Python containers. Container is an object that is used to access the contained objects and iterate over them. So this is just the definition for a container. So you know containers, even though you don't know the word container, the list is the well-known container. You know what's the list? The Python list. This is the example for a list. In Python, you can create a list by opening and closing square brackets. And likewise, there are many containers. So tuples, sets, dictionaries, these are some examples. So the main thing is containers are used to store different objects. Objects means here, it may be an integer, it may be a string, it may be another list, yeah, whatever. And also, there should be a way to access the contained objects. Once we created a container, there should be a way to access, which means if we need to access this element, there should be a way, and also this and this, like same as. So I will explain now with coding rather than reading slides. So let's dive into our. Yeah, this is a Python environment. We are going to coding with what is understanding, what is a list, what is a tuple, what are the important things that we should consider when we are dealing with lists like that. So this is a list. So I told you how we can in Python. There are two ways we can create a list. You can create a list, open and closing or square brackets and including the whatever element you want by separating commas. You know that one, I guess. And also we can simply, this is not a This is not a list, and this is actually shuffle. So this is not a list. So we can simply use the list keyword for create a list. Let's run this and see. When we are use the keyword type, it is whatever give the class. The class means the Python class is just a class. It's a type. So the list is a class. The string is a class. There are many things. So this is the simplest way to create a list. Okay, yeah, access elements. Access element means there should be a way to access in Python lists. This is not common to all containers, only for lists. In Python containers, we can use index to access the elements. So as an example, let's say this is our list 1, so containing strings inside. So let's try to, how to indexing happen. The first element of any kind of container, the index 0. The 0 assigned to the first one. This is 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, likewise. So if we can print out this one. So let's try to print out this one. See this. So in this terminal, we give the first element. Likewise, we can use index 4, which means 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We should be given the 4. Yes. So that's some simple. I guess we assume you guys know these things, but you need to. All we need to do is you need to memorize. Okay, let's move into what is a tuple, what is a set, and what is a dictionaries, and why there are some different containers. Because already list is existing. Why we need tuple is more likely difference is that the tuple is also can access. We can access this by the index, but a list, we can change the values, we can delete, we can add, or we can select some kind of part from this list. But in a tuple, you cannot change any kind of element. Once you create tuple, it is remain constant. So this is the syntax for creating tuple. So you can open parentheses and including insert elements, and once you create this tuple 1, this is remain constant. So and another container is sets. Sets mean the one you learn in math. That's the same. Yeah, I will. The keyword set. Keyword set is converted any kind of. Let's try to this tuple 1. This is tuple. We are going to convert this tuple into a set. Let's see. Let's try to print. It is curly brackets. It is surrounded by curly brackets, and yeah, I told you there are some differences. Okay, so the first one is the list tuples. List can we call list are mutable. It can be changed. Tuples are immutable. It cannot be changed, and also the sets are mutable. It is also can be changed. But see this, we create the tuple as XYZ, the order. In this tuple, 0 assigned to X, the index 0 assigned to X. index 1 assigned to y. But once we come to this output, which is set in this time, this container is set. But it doesn't consider the order, which means sets are not sent to the index. So in a set, you cannot access elements by indexing. It takes element randomly. If we try to run again this code, sorry, this one, which means we are trying to convert this tuple into a set again. Let's try. See this, in that time also, the sequence also changed. So, which means you cannot call any element inside the set with the index. So, in order to access element, you need to write the loop, iterate. You need to iterate over this set, which means you can write a for loop. As an example, so I will name this as set one variable. So I assume you guys know a for loop, a while loop. So this we are assuming that because we are going to teach you some advanced methods that is very important to problem solving. In set one. Y x z. So now you can access element one by one. So whatever you can use this element in your code, you can use this element to individual operations. So that's about list, tuples, and sets. So another important thing about set is I should tell one important point. So let's say we have a tuple like 1, 2, 3, 3. So I'm gonna convert this tuple into a list. Sorry, into a set. One, two, three. See this. You see the difference. We just converted the tuple into a set, but it doesn't consider the repeated 3. That is why we need to learn about sets. So it only considers unique values. I mean, it doesn't consider any repeated. It eliminates any repeated value. So therefore, the using set container is important. A scenario like, let's say you have a very large 1,000 amount of elements in the list. Okay, there are some repeat. Let's say, there are some repeat numbers. But if you need to know, how many elements actually, how many unique elements. If you need to know how many unique elements or list or tuple into a set, in that case, you know what are the how many elements. So you can just check with the length function. So that is the difference. That is the importance of set. So that's all about tuples, sets, and lists. We will be using these in our future slides. So, and I want to say something about dictionaries as well. So I will explain with my presentation. So, I have given you a comparison between lists, tuples, and sets. You guys can for those things. And dictionaries. Let me read the definition. Dictionaries are Python's implementation of a data structure that is more generally known as an associative array. A dictionary consists of a collection of key value pairs. Yeah, that's the important thing. each key value pair maps the key to its associated value. So in a list, we just input some random numbers or any kind of elements. But in a list, we can use keys and let's say we have data including animals name, flowers name, vehicles name, like that. So if we are going to input all this information into a list, there are some different process, different types of elements now. So I mean literally. So but if we can use dictionary, we can use a name as the keyword, the key. We can set the key name. Let's say we can set the key name as animal and with this colon mark, and you can assign all the animals name like as a list or as a tuple, as a set, and then comma the flower. Likewise, you can name this another key as a flower. Then you can assign all the flowers. So this data structure has a formal way. Because we need to deal with data, we need to access all the data. That's why we have store in containers. So if we can arrange those data in a pretty good manner, that would be important. That's why we need to learn those things. Yeah. So I will show you very small example. So you can simply create a dictionary by curly brackets, and the keys are just like animals, flowers, like that. So I will give you an example. Capital A key assign 1, and capital key B assign 2. So, and dictionaries are created like curly brackets, but inside curly brackets there's colon marks and separated by comma. Each element separated by comma. This is a one element. Inside this element there's a key and a value. There's a key and a value. This key, this value may be a list, another list, or maybe another tuple, whatever. So, and also you can, what is this A? Which kind of data container A? This is tuple, no? Because it is just surrounded by yeah, this tuple. So otherwise results will be messy. Yeah, the class is tuple. This is A is a tuple. I'm going to, so if you can arrange a tuple like this, which means I'm going to, let's say, this is the data that I have mentioned few minutes ago. This is name animal, imaging, this is animal. So you just name dog. This is let's say flowers. Yes. So we are trying to convert this array into a dictionary. So this the type A is a tuple. So we can use the dict keyword. That's the important thing in Python. The Python is really close to English. So whatever the English mean, the Python existing function like that. So dict. Let's try to run actual studio. what I need here is I'm going to print this tuple, and I want to see this as a dictionary. Let's see. Yeah, see, this is my dictionary. So it is very formal now. Now yeah, we arrange the data like this, but this look great, and also we can iterate in each key or each value with a for loop. So if you want to write a for loop for I in this case, once you iterate over a dictionary, so in a list you don't want to care nothing about, you just for I in the particular list. But if we need to iterate, we need to what we iterate is key or values. As an example, if I need to iterate get the keys name for I in this yeah, it's just give this is an attribute. You know, guys, attributes and methods. There are some, they are different, but we are not going to explain those things. So once we created this for loop, I'm going to iterate over all the keys in the dictionary. It is this dictionary is nothing but we converted this tuple. Actually, there are tuple inside this tuple. There's another tuple, nested tuple we call as nested tuple, and also there's another list. So, and we converted into a dictionary. I'm going to print out the key. Animals and flowers. Yeah. So likewise, you can access elements, keys, values, and because you need to use those data in future process in the code. So that's why you need to learn the real examples, which is very same as the competition one. So that's all about data containers. And what I'm going to do is, these are two formats. I told you this list comprehension, convert list to another list by doing some operations or whatever. So this is my initial list. So yeah, I'm going to do the same thing that I have done here with this list component. You can do with the map for just converting integers, just like simple things, and whatever you can do. But this is quite advanced. I will tell you in the later. So I'm going to do in this, according to this expression, this is the format of creating a list comprehension. Yeah, I will write the code and then yeah, I want to just convert into the integers as the first. Okay. Okay. So yeah, within this inside this list, this is a list. Well, we just close and open it. For I in L, for item in collection, this expression, the L, what is the container? So I, you are going to iterate over each element in the providing container. So likewise, the for loop, the I becomes 10, 77, 0. But we don't need to write the for loop. The whole things, I mean, the whole things, we don't need to. The same thing does with this. So what we did here, I select the I become 10, 7, and this is the elements that are going to store inside L dash, L whatever, L underscore whatever. So let me, yeah. So with this expression, I just converted into a list. Yeah, the same thing. I just want to say these are some good techniques. Writing coding is time consuming because you guys are the upcoming the competition is not a pretty hard one, but we are not focusing on the particular one. So because the representation of university for the competition is not there is not in a high level. So we are focusing, we are aiming through these workshops. Please participate those competition, and yeah, you can do some extracurricular activities in the university. So yeah, you can learn those things. We are just you guys, I know you might mess with for the first time once you hear this, but I'm pretty sure. So sometimes you may be an absolute beginner, but once you refer those things, so there is a method called list compression. There's a method called map. Sometimes you may not get the exact idea, but you heard actually at least. So you can search yourself, browse yourself, or learn, teach yourself. And yeah, I'm going to do another step. I told you earlier, I want to double this. So I just divided each element by 2. You can do this as these things also with the map function. Check with that. So okay, yeah, see this, I just converted into the double. So you can do the same thing with the follow, no problem. The only thing is the time consuming and because the CPU time and your working time, you need to consider those things when you are coding. So always try to, you already know do this thing for loop. Next time, try to use this kind of the map function, list compression, like that. Also, we can do further more things with this list compression. Let's say I want to double only the even numbers. Or let's say there are numbers with two digits and single digits and 4 digits likewise. So I just want to double the numbers. Only have more than 2 digits. Okay. Inside this list compression, we can write the following. So we can add the expression. This is the another I have put in the comment and also your slides. So let me write the code first. So do this. One. Only if this is no L now. If the I become once you add this part, this particular part, the highlighted part, the I become 10, 7, 7, 7, 0 like that. If integer I, I'm going to integer I, which means in this no. So what I told is I need to double only more than 2 digits, we can, these are strings now, we can check the length of the string, which is I. If the len I larger than or equals, or let's say larger than 2, if this condition satisfied, do whatever. So let's try to see this. So initially 10770, but I added the follow, sorry, if condition with the if condition, double the numbers and give on double numbers only have more than 2 digits. So not only, so this is becoming more advanced, I know, but let me explain. I just want to explain for the first time. Also, you know, Boolean operations in the if conditions, we can, these are condition, we can give the condition with I say like that. Yeah, do this with what, double the number more than 2 digits, and the if the value is even, I'm going to give to integer I because I is a string, we just cannot integer I. You know, this is simple, you know, I guess. Yeah, which means if the remain, if the integer value of I divided by 2 equals 0, and the len I, which means the more than 2 digits, only those elements include into this list by multiplied by 2. Yeah, see this. So now you can figure out, yeah, the code look quite mess, but you know, imagine if you are going to do this operation with a for loop, so you need to do some unwanted lines, but with this compression or this compression, it just done with one single line. So once you see this kind of code, so first don't mess with that. First try to focus on this part. So imagine you are going to see this line for the first time. So you are going to then first focus on this. Yeah, what for I in L in this list going to be iterated on this L. What is L? Yeah, we have some elements. Okay. Yeah, now it's clear. Then going to the if existing some condition, if there is a condition provided, check the condition. What is the condition? Yeah, we can check the condition. Then finally come to this part. Yeah, this is the element operation. These are the conditions. This is the iteration elements. This is the operation on each element. So that's all. So please try to figure out those things and be practice with yourself. This is when I was looking, I was quite nice with that. So let's go through that. Okay. And yeah, this compression. I want to say something. So we missed that one. Another one. This is also another important yeah, whatever method, whatever. This is not a method. Python lambda. The syntax. Lambda arguments colon marks expression. A lambda function is a small anonymous function. Okay. One more. A lambda function can take n number of arguments, but can only have one expression. Let's try to figure out this one. Okay. Yeah. Lambda helps you to define functions. Okay, you know how to define function in Python. You type the def keyword and write the function name and open parentheses and input the arguments and do the whatever the code. But the lambda is very short method to find an anonymous function. Once you create this one, we can, which means we have defined a function called myFunc, and it has parameter, the arguments. So in the get function, you do like this, and you input a plus 10. This is the exact thing happen here. Okay, I think you can now understand what is done by lambda. It just take the argument and at the 10, or you can 15 there. According to your, I just have example. So let's try to call this function. Yeah, my function is my func. And what is our parameter? So according to your parameter, according to your argument, so let's say 5, what will be your output? It just, yeah, the A becomes 5 now. 5 plus 20, it should be given 25. That is what lambda. Yeah, 25. Okay. And the most important thing you need to keep remember about lambda. Lambda is an anonymous function. It is known as anonymous function. It can have any number of arguments, which means you can have another parameter argument, C, T, or whatever. A number of parameters. Okay, but you only can have one expression. You cannot have another expression b plus b plus 30. This is not existing. It is they should have yes error. So you can have any number of arguments a b c f d. Let's say 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 6 arguments. 4 5. And you can you can define the expression within one expression. So you can put b here because this is only just one expression. Not this is what lambda does. Okay, I will explain very briefly about application of lambda with map function. Okay, map function. Let me yeah, I have a list like this. I have 2, 3, 4, very small list. This is a list, you know. So I'm going to use map function. Map function, what does map function? Pass a whatever pass a function to a container or any kind of iterator. And function, what is function? Yeah, I'm going to create function with the lambda. Lambda function to pass. This is a list, and lambda what does? It takes one argument and it multiplied by 2, and it needs to iterate over this and give us a list. So I'm not remember syntax for this one. I'm sorry, I can't remember that. So just leave this one. Okay, yeah, you can, but you can use. Please try to find yourself. You can use Lambda function. This is the application of Lambda function inside map, whatever. Yeah, map. The most the common usage inside map. So you need to learn those things: map function, Lambda function, and list compression. Please be familiar with these three in order to do very in order to become a very good problem solving programming in Python. So time is going very fast. So you know strings. What is we have put string methods like list methods. You know what is list methods? You can do whatever effect on list. Likewise, the string is also a class. So I have added some functions which are methods and also meaning. So you can check those functions with Google and how these functions can be um, involved with the strings. So I'm not going to explain this one because of the time. So and I'm going to we are going to discuss one or two problems at the end. And in this time, we are trying to discuss these applications, those called applications. So I invited my friend Kunzi to continue the workshop. Thank you.
Thank you, Lahiru. Okay, now I will talk about some of the important modules, Python modules that we can use in these type of competitions and to make our code very easy and simple about Python modules. And the first module we are going to talk is the Python collection module. So this module is a module that provides different types of containers, as discussed by Lahiru. There are several types of containers. As you know, there are strings, lists, like that, tuples, and many more. So this collection module introduces some more advanced types of containers. So the first one is counter. This is one of the types of operations that is available in this collection module. So we need to import counter from these collections. And here you can see some examples. Here in the first one, you can see print counter, and there is a list given, B, B, A, B, like that. There are some letters in the list. So in the output here, you can see this module has done the count for you. So if you are using just loops and list operations for doing this calculation, you will waste a lot of time for these operations. But using these modules, it will do all the hard work for you. So instead of a huge for loop and counting each and every letter, here this module counts the number of occurrences of each letter for you. So example B, there are 5B in the list. So this counter have counted the number of elements, and these are also similar instances. Here we have user list, here there is a dictionary, and here with key arguments. So the operation is similar. You can go through more on this counter and this collection module. And next I'll talk about this. This is another function available in the collections module. This is actually container. This is a default dictionary. So you heard about dictionary before. This is a default dictionary. The specialty of this default dictionary is it will not raise an error if the key is not existing. That means although the key exists now or not there, you can use it to access the elements. For example, here when defining the dictionary, this is the format how you need to follow. You need to put default dictionary and the type of data we are going to use in the dictionary. And here they have defined a list and they have iterated throughout the list for I in the list. And here D and in the index they have put I. So the I will be for I in L means each and every element will iterate in this variable I and first D1. So the D1 value will be increased by 1. So the default value available in the int type is 0 and it will increase the value relevant to 1 by 1. Next 2 will come, although it's not existing, there will not be a key error. It will create a new value and increase the count by 1. So just remember the application of this default dictionary. So you have to remember that there will not be an key error if the key does not exist. So when you get some question that this application will be useful, you can use this default dictionary data type. And next it's also a type of dictionary. It's called the ordered dict. So not unlike the other dictionaries, this dictionary keeps that means remembers the order that the elements were added. So here there is one example, and here the order dictionary is initialized like this, and here they have assigned some elements, and before deleting this was the list, and after that they have popped out the element A. They have removed element A from this values items, and they have inserted A again, as you can see here. So they have remembered the order that was existing. That means first before deleting A was here, A1, right? Then they pop out using the pop function. They can we can remove the element given as the parameter. So A will be removed from this order dictionary, and after adding, it has remembered the order it was added. That means A was removed, but after adding, it went to the bottom. So that's the application of ordered dictionary. So you need to do some practice and testing and self-study and try to understand in which instance this dictionaries could be helpful. So next I'll talk about another function or data type available in this collections module. This is name tuple. So as it says from the name, this is they have given a name to the tuple. So the tuple object with names for each position which the ordinary tuples lack. So ordinary tuples do not have this feature. So now let's see the example. So they have first imported name tuple, and here is how we declare a name tuple. So student equals name tuple, and they have given a name for the whole name tuple, that is student, and these are the values or the keys. So the name tuple is student, and there are attributes called name, age, and date of birth. Okay, I hope you understand. And here they have added values. S equals student Nandini 19, and they have given the date of birth, right? So when accessing, we can just use the index or can access by using the name. There are two methods that we can access. So the student S, here they have defined the student called S, right? Then accessing using the index, the student age using the index keys. The age is in the index 0, 1, right? So print S1, they have accessed the age by using the index, right? So instead of that, here you can see the output, the student age using index is 90. They have accessed this element. Similarly, we can access the elements using the name also. So here you can see that student name using key name is s.name. Here they have referred to the name or the type of the parameters. In the tuple type student, these are the three data types available: name, age, and date of birth. So simply by putting s.name, we can access the name. So you need to remember how this name tuple can be useful, and you need to have some practice to know in which problems this could be very much useful, and use these functions accordingly. And next, another option available in the collections module. So this is called DQ. So as you can see, this is an optimized list that is used for quicker append and pop operations from both sides of the container. So this is an optimized list, similar to list, but it is optimized and quicker to append pop operations and other operations. This could be done easily with less memory and resources, right? And here you can see they have imported DQ from collections, and they have initialized the DQ as you can see here, DE equals DQ, and they have given a list as the parameter, right? Similar to the list, they have append 4. Similar to like we talked in the list, they have put DE dot append 4. They have append 4 to this DQ, right? So after appending, they have printed it 1, 2, 3, 4. They have appended 4. It will append to the right. Normally, append function will add an element to the right side end. And here there is another function called append left. That is not available in normal list. So they have called the function de.append left. It will add the element to the left side corner. That means to the beginning. de.append left 6, and they have printed de. And here you can see the 6 has been added to the left side. So when doing list operations, this could be a very useful method that you can use. And this is optimized, and the time taken for the processing and the functions to run is very much less than normal list. So keep it in mind, and it's better if you can have some note on these methods and how they could be useful when preparing algorithms. And next, math module. I hope you have heard about this module before. This is used for like scientific or financial projects, or huge, that means mathematical calculations are implemented. And this module is used for those advanced calculations to be done easily. And the first thing available in this math module is there are some constants that we normally use for mathematical operations. That is, Euler's number can be used by calling math.e, and the pi value we can obtain by math.pi, and tau value from math.tau, and infinity from math.in, and not a number by math.nan. Right. So these are the constants that are available in this math module. And next, I'll talk about the seal and floor functions. So you may have heard about rounding a number. So seal and floor functions are something similar. The difference is the floor function will round the number towards 0, and seal will round the number towards the infinity, not towards 0, right? So in this example, a equals 2.3, and they have printed the seal of 2.3 is math.seal. They have used the seal function. So the seal value of a is 2.3. The seal value of 2.3 is 3. As I said, it has been rounded towards the infinity side, right? So in the next lines, they have printed the floor value of 2.3 is, they have used the floor function math.floor a. So the floor value of a is 2. They have rounded the number towards 0, right? So this is the functionality of seal and floor. And next, factorial. I hope you all have heard it. So here the math module gives the operations to be used very much easily. Just you need to call math.factorial a, and the math module will do all the hard work and return you the answer. So if you are going to implement it yourself, you will have to code the for loop and do the multiplication and finally get the output. But using these modules, you can make your code very much small and very much easier. And here there are some other functions that are available in this math module. So you can use GCD to obtain the great common divisor, FABS, that means absolute value, you can obtain from that function, and EXP, the exponential value, power can be obtained by POW and give the numbers. This will give 3 to the power 4. You can obtain the answer of 3 to the power 4 easily by this method. And here there are logarithms also in this math module. So log, and you can put the base here. If you need to obtain the log of base 10, 6, etc., you can change this number here and call the function. And you can obtain the square root by sqrt and trigonometric values like mentioned here by just putting math.sin 60. Right, so this can be helpful for mathematical operations as well as when you are using some calculations for solving these problems in these competitions also. And next, this is also very much useful for the competitions. It is iter tools. So it's also used to for fast calculations or iteration, and it's memory efficient than the normal for loops, right? So here you can see one of the functionalities of iter tools, that is count, right? So here there is a for loop. They have used this iter tools and count method. So I in iter tools dot count 5, 5. They have started counting from 5 in intervals of 5. That means they will count continuously starting from 5 with intervals of 5, right? So the numbers will be 5, 10, 15, 20, like that. So on, this will go. And for I in itertools.count, they have put if I is equal to 35, it will break. If not, it will print, right? So let's see how the output has come out. Here, they have printed 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and as they have mentioned in the code, if the I value is equal to 35, it has stopped the iterations, right? So you have made the iterations very much easier by using this simple module and the methods they have integrated in those modules. So you can go through this iter tools module also. Next, I'll talk about one more function in the iter tools. Here, they have used a function called cycle that is available in iter tools, right? So, similar to previous one, they have used for I in iter tools dot cycle AB. They have given a string as the parameter AB, right? What happens in this iter_tools.cycle method is that means it will iterate between the elements of this string. That means it will iterate between A and B. First in the loop, it will send the value for I as A, next B, next time A, next time B. I hope you got the idea. That means in the first iteration, it will give the value A for I, next B, and as a cycle it will go on A and B, right? So in this code, if the count is greater than 7, this will break, and if not, they have printed and the count will be increased by 1, right? So you can see how the output has come out. First A have been printed, 2 B, A, B, A, B, A, B, and when the count reaches 7, the loop has been broken and stopped, right? So this is the usage of cycles. So this one also can be used for making your code easier and simpler. And another function available in iter tools, this is the repeat method. It is used to print numbers repeated, right? So as you will see the example, they have printed iter tools dot repeat 25 4 times. They have repeated 25 4 times, right? And finally converted the output to a list, right? Simply we can use this repeat method to repeat the same number or string several times. So you can see the output. They have obtained 25 4 times, right? I hope you got the idea. And next, I'll talk about one more function available in this iter tools. It is the permutations, right? I hope in maths you have learned about permutations. So these iter tools have a functionality to obtain the permutations using this simple code, right? They have printed all the permutations of the given string is permutations, and they have given the parameter as A and B, right? Then this method will find all the permutations available in the given string, and we have converted it to a list and printed, right? Here you can see the output. The only available permutations are A, B, and B, A, right? So if we are going to build this by ourselves, it will take so much time and effort, and so many lines of code will be gone for that process only. So by using these tools, we can save our time and minimize the uh, effort that we can give, and focus on solving the problems in these competitions very much easier. Next, I'll talk about one more important method that we can use, that is regular expressions. Actually, this is available in so many programming languages, and in Python also this is available. So the basic task of regular expression is searching a pattern of string or a set of string and detect the presence or absence of a text by matching a particular pattern. And we can also split the pattern into one or two or more sub patterns. Right, this is some advanced module, and actually have a different syntax for these regular expressions. So I'll show you. I have given a simple example that I found here. There is a string, and using this RE or regular expressions, they have done a search for this word portal, right? Where have they done the search? In S, in this string they have done a search for this word portal, right? And when we have then they have printed the starting index. They have obtained the index by match dot start, right? The starting index is 34 and the ending index is match dot end, that is 40, right? So this is a simple example or simple usage that we can obtain from these regular expressions, but there are several advanced usages that we can obtain from this regular expression module, right? So thank you. That's end of our theory. Now let's solve some problems in HackerRank website, right? Right, this is the website. I hope you have created an account in HackerRank, but if not, it's okay. You can try making an account for yourself, and here you can do some practice in problem solving, and also you can learn some programming languages from scratch also here. And I think this is a good place to start your programming career. Show you some questions. This is one of those competition problems, right? So now you can read with me and try to understand what we need to do in the code, right? So you can see the problem. You are going to design the carols for the cake of a child's birthday. The cake will have one carol for each year of their total age, right? Only the tallest carol will be blown off, right? And count the number of tallest carols. So they are talking about the child's birthday, and there are birthday carols, but only the tallest carols will be blown off by the child, right? And we are asked to count the number of tallest carols. So that's the basic idea. So when a question is given to you in this HackerRank competitions, the first thing is you need to clearly read and get the basic idea of what we need to do, right? Before making the code, we need to have a good idea on what they have asked us to do. If not, we cannot make a code to solve that problem, right? So normally they give some examples for us to get a better idea also, right? Here they have given an example. The carols heights are 2, 4, 1, and 3, right? And the maximum carol height is 4 units, right? Here the maximum height available is 4. So the next thing we have to do is count the number of tallest carols. the tallest cattle height is 4. They have asked us how many such cattle are there. So the answer would be there are 2 of them, right? So we need to return 2, right? And the next thing given in these competition problems is the input format. They are giving how the input will be provided to us, right? In the code, how they will provide us the input. So let's see how they have provided it. The first line contains a single integer n, right? The first line of the input is a single integer. As they have given here, there will be a single integer, and it is the size of the cattle's array. That means number of cattles available in the array, right? The second line contains n spaced integers. All right. Next line will have n, that means n number of cattle's heights available in the next line, where each integer I describes the height of cattle, right? This will describe the height of the cattles available, right? That's the input format. And the next thing they will give in the question is these constraints, right? That means what is the limit of n? The n could be in this range. It is greater than 1 and less than 10 to the power 5, right? That is the range of values for n. And the cattle height will be in this range. It will be greater than 1 and less than 10 to the power 7, right? That's the constraints for n and the next inputs, right? Next, they will give how the output format must be, right? They have put the number of cattle that are tallest. We must give the output integer for the number of cattle that are tallest, right? That means we need to print 2 in this case, in this example, right? Here you can see the sample input and output also. So now you have an idea on how the questions are given and how the input and output format is given. So now you have understood the problem, and now let's see how to solve this simple problem. So to reduce the time, I have made a solution for you to show. I'll discuss line by line. So the first thing is they have obtained n. N equals int input, right? So by using this input function, we can obtain the first line here. We can obtain the input given by this platform by using this input method, right? Then we have converted the input into integer, right? For example, in this sample input, they have given us 4, the value 4 in the first line, right? Then here, when we call the input function, the value 4 will be obtained here, right? Then we have converted it to an integer, right? The inputs are given as strings, right? This string is converted into integer and saved as in the variable n. So in this case, n will be 4, right? I hope you got the idea on how we can obtain the input values into our code. So the first step is that. The first step is obtaining the input values into our code, right? So first step is fine. They have given 2 lines for input, right? Now we have obtained 4, but what about this one, right? Here, here you can see I have defined the list for cattle here, right? In the next line, you can see I have defined a variable called height, and there we have obtained the next input. That means this one. this line we have obtained here by calling the input function, right? In the first, when we call the input function in the first time, we will get the first line. The second time when we call the input function, we will get the second line, right? I hope you got the idea. So in this height variable, now we will have this string 3213 string, right? That's available in the height variable here, right? Next step, we have used the split function, right? The split function is used to split a string into several sections. Well, I'll show you the output here. Wait. Now I have printed the output we obtained from here after the split. Now I'll run the code. Here you can see it. Yeah, the string have been divided into the numbers and made it a list, right? Before using split, if we print the variable height, you can see right here. You can see it's a one string, but in order to process to do the calculations, we need to convert it into separate values and also separate integers also, right? So using the split function, we have made it a list with separate numbers. Actually, it is strings now, but to do some calculation, we need to convert this into integers also, right? So we'll go to the next step. So here, in the next step, we have used for I in height, right? The list of strings we have put called cadles. That means the list we have defined here, list dot append integer I. We have converted I into the integer type and appended into the list called cadles, right? Now there are no strings. It has been converted into integers and added to the list cadles. So let's see. We'll print the list called cadles and see what is the output. Right, now you can see it clearly. Initially the input was like this. We used the split function to convert it like this, and using the for loop we have converted it into integers, right? These are a list of strings. This is a list of integers, right? Now it is ready for any sort of calculation, right? Here, now we have the required data ready. Now the next step should be we must find what is the maximum height of these cadles, right? So we have used this max function to find the maximum. Let's print out the variable called maximum and see what is available, right? Right, here you can see this is the input, this is after splitting, this is after converting into integers, and next the print value is this 3. So you can see 3 is the maximum height available in this list, right? So using this simple function, we have obtained it directly, right? And the next step is counting how many values of 3 is available in this list, right? So for that also we have used the inbuilt function called count, right? The total value equals to cadles is the list dot count maximum. We have used the count method available for list and sent the maximum value as a parameter here to obtain the total number of maximum height cattle, right? I hope you got the idea. So if we run the code, let's see what's the total value. It is 2, right? There are 2 values of 3 in the list, right? Now let's remove the unnecessary printing lines. We only need to give the output. We only need to give the total as output, right? Now if we run the code, we can see it is successfully run, and the output is also as expected, right? I hope now you got an idea of how to get the inputs and how to process it and convert it into the required data type, and how to use the available methods to make your code easy, and how to give the output as they are expecting, right? Now I'll show some method to make this code a lot smaller than it is by using the methods that we learned today. Now I will comment out all these lines. Right. If you have any questions, you can put in the chat box. And yes, someone asked how to get inputs, multiple inputs in one line. So now I'm going to show how to obtain it. Now here we can see that there is a lot of data in this simple string. We need to process as we have done before. We need to process it step by step like this to obtain data that we can use for calculations. But using this map functions, we can obtain it, do all these steps in a single line, right? So you can reduce the code a lot, right? Now we have done all these processing in just one line, right? Now I'll show how this is done. So we'll go to the middle first. Here they have obtained the input. Similar to here, we have called the input function, right? Then we have this string here now, right? This string is there here. This 3213 string is there. Next, we have called the split function here itself, right? Now it is split into a list of strings, right? Now it is split into a list of strings, right? Now here we have given a list of strings, right? Next, we have used the map function, right? We have used the map function, and this is the list available, and the function we are calling to this list is int. We are converting all the elements available in this list into integers, right? Next, we have converted the output from the map function into a list by putting this list method, right? Now this is a list that is converted into input into a list. That means this input is converted into a list and then to integers, and finally using this single expression we have obtained a list of integers that we can use for the processing, right? Now just we'll run this code and see, right? The output is similar. We have obtained the output correctly, right? So you can see how these methods can be helpful to reduce the number of lines of code and our time. So if you are going to do this, compete in these competitions, actually you need to know this shortcut and advanced method to save your time and successfully solve these problems on time without much effort, right? So this is one of the examples, and you will get similar questions in the two competition. So if you have any to now or this problem, you can put in the chat box or unmute and tell us. Are there any problems up to now? Or we'll go for the next example. So meanwhile, we'll go to the next question. Lahiru, up to you.
We are trying to solve another problem, which will be quite similar. This kind of questions will be appearing in your competition. So let's try to understand. First, as soon as we explain, first try to understand the problem. So what they ask. That's the main thing when you are going to solve any problem. Find the difference between the summation of diagonal values of a given matrix. So they ask to find the difference between which the summation of diagonal. In n by n matrix, there is a diagonal. So we can show two diagonals. So they ask to create a program to get the difference between the summation of each diagonal. So, and the input format. The input format mean this is the, as mostly explained, very good explanation give for the input format. So this is the input format for this particular question. First line, single integer which denotes the matrix size. So our code should have ability to give the first input line to they ask user to please type the size of further lines, which means there are more input lines. Denote the space separated integers of column elements. Yeah, I will explain with provided input sample. Constraints, which is the range of inputs or the matrix size. They have input. Our code should be work within any kind of region, the provided region. As an output, return the absolute difference, which means between the sums of matrix two diagonals as a single integer. We should provide the output as the exact format, because otherwise it shows as a wrong. Even though you have doing everything well, your output format also in the required. Yes, it should be also integer in a single integer. So they have given an example. This is a matrix, and by considering the primary diagonal 11, 5, and minus 12. So summation of primary is 4, and by considering the secondary, this one, it will be 19, around 19. So when we are taking the absolute difference, it should be 15. So this is the sample input. So this is the input that's going to be input that is going to be input into our code. So according to this sample, he has mentioned that whatever the user mentioned as the array size should be 3. So the diagonals are defined only for n by n matrix. So without identifying one number, it's enough to define the matrix. Okay. First, once I return this code, write this code, input function, and convert the input into a integer. So once I write this code line and remove all these things. And once I execute, it asks user to input the value for the first time. And according to this input, this is the input that's going to be given to our code. We can type 3 that is done in automatically in the backend in the competition. So please try to figure out. This is a really small thing, but sometimes you will be messed with this one. Please try to figure out this. So if you are trying to write this code in your computer, your local device, so you may have to give the input once we execute the code. So in this case, the input will be given to our code once we run the code. So everything will be automatically done. Okay. This code line give the size of the array, whatever the number 5, number 6, or number 7, it takes as size. And I have created a matrix because whatever input given by a user, Python consider as a string. The user, although user input like this is not the array for Python. This is just a string. So the first time the user input 3, then he press enter, then 1 1 1. We know this is the look. The user look something like array, but the Python doesn't know. So therefore, we need to use these string input, and we should make our array to do calculations or whatever, any kind of thing for the coding. And so according to the size of the array, our input line should be changed, no? Because if the user input as number 4, there should be another 4 line to. We should provide 4 lines to for the user. So I have written a for loop. Therefore, so for I in range size is according to this example, size is 3. Size 3. Once we execute this one, for I in range, the I become 0, 1, 2. For the range function, and I takes the input, and I ask the input. So according to this for loop, according to this value, 3 inputs gonna be asked, except this one. We created input line for this one, and further lines. If the size come 5, if the size mentioned as 5, now the code will be changed as automatically 5. You will understand, I guess. So then I have created a empty matrix. It is just a list. The name of the matrix is just list. For Python, it's a list. We are going to deal all these things with list. So that's I have explained earlier. This is very important. You can do whatever with list, nested list, dictionaries, tuples, everything. And then I append function I have explained. Then I append this user input into this matrix, which is this list. Let's try to print out this one. So you will. Okay, let's try. Oops. It will take some time. See this? Yeah, this is the output, the matrix. The user has given all these things now already. Okay, this is the input. Output, see this in our matrix 1 list, the inside list. The first element is just a string separated by those spaces are available. We just copied this line into a list. So that's all. But these are strings. So we need to make calculation. We need to process these in a really good manner to calculations.
So this problem, we are going to find the number of animals. That's the topic heading. Now let's try to understand the problem. So the problem is it says there are two types of animals in a farm, right? One is hen and other one is horse, right? There are only two types of animals in the farm. One is hen and one is the horse, right? Now you are given the number of total animals, right? You are given the number of total animals and the total counts of the legs, right? As you know, the hen have only two legs, and the horse will have four legs, right? We have given the total number of animals and the total number of legs, right? Now they are asking us to find the exact number of hens and horses that could possibly be in following combinations, right? They are telling us to find the number of hens and number of horses exactly when we are given the number of heads and number of legs, right? I hope you got the idea. They are giving us the number of heads and legs, while we need to find the number of hens and number of horses, right? Now they have given an input format, right? The input will be in the following format. The input will be the number of heads and number of legs, right? The input will be this one. First one will be the number of heads. This one will be the number of legs, right? And in the output format, they are asking us to print the number of horses and hens respectively, right? So in this example, this is the number of horses and this is the number of hens, right? Right. I think you got the idea. So basically now you can see here they have done the calculation to the wait, example, right. I'll go to this explanation. Now we'll discuss the sample input and sample output, right? Now the sum of heads is 5. That means there are 5 animals in the farm, right? And the sum of legs is 16, right? The sum of legs of the 5 animals is 16, right? Just try to understand the problem. Then the number of horses must be 3 and number of hens must be 2, right? There is only one combination that would support this argument. That means support this data given, right? Only if the number of horses is 3 and the number of hens is 2, the sum of legs will be 16, right? I think you got the idea. So for example, if the number of horses is 3, the number of legs is 4 into 3. And if the number of hens is 2, the number of legs will be 2 times 2, 4. And the total number of legs will be 16, right? 16. And the number of animals will be 3 plus 2, 5, right? So there is only one answer for this problem, right? So how can we solve this using code? So the first thing is we need to get the input, right? The input is a single line, right? And it's a string. So here we have done it in 2 steps, but actually we can do it the process in 1 step also. First we have obtained a as the input, right? The variable a will have the input, that means this value, and we have saved the value after splitting a. Like I explained in the previous example, the split method will convert this string into a list of strings, right? List of separate strings. So just I'll show you again to get a better idea. I'll print B. Right here you can see the input has been separated and put into a list, a single list, right? That's B. And you can see the number of heads is the first argument, 5. And the number of legs is 16, the second argument. So we have saved the number of heads and legs into two separate variables after converting into integers also, right? Now currently there is strings in the list, but now we have saved the first element in the list after converting into an integer and saved it into the variable heads. And next, the second value in the list converted into integer and save into the variable legs, right? I hope you got the idea up to now for what we have done, right? So this is like the pre-processing part, right? We have prepared the data into our required format where it would be easy for us to process it, right? So the next part is the logic, right? So maybe when you get some problem like this, you can try to solve it in a paper or try to build up a logic on how to solve the problem, maybe in a paper, right? Then you can make a code to implement in that algorithm, right? So now you can see I have used a for loop and a if condition to get the required result, right? So now let's see what I have done. So the first thing is for I in range heads, right? The number of heads here is 5, right? So when we call the for I in range function, the values obtained here will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? I hope you know it. When we use this for I in range function and put the integer value, it will iterate on these for 5 values, right? So the next step, we have checked if I into 4, right? I into 4 plus heads minus I into 2 equals to legs, right? This is the logic that I got into my mind and implemented, right? Now let's see what I have done here. So for example, I have checked. Now in this case, I is 0, right? Actually, so first case, I is 0 times 4, right? Plus next heads minus I. What's the number of heads? It is 16, right? No, heads is 5, right? This is the legs. This is the heads, right? So next one is heads is 5. 5 minus I is 0. Right, that is 5. 2. Right, what is the answer here? So it is 10, right? This is 0. This is 10. And this the total is 10, right? So is it equals to the number of legs? The number of legs is 16, right? So you can see that this combination does not work, right? So similarly, next step, the I value will be 1. This one will be 1 and heads minus I. Heads is 5 and I is 1. Then this one will be 4, right? Then the answer will be 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 4, it will be 12, right? This would be the answer. But it is not equals to the number of legs, right? So the iteration will be continued, right? Next lesson will be 2 and this one will be 3, right? Then what will be the answer? 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 6. It will be 14, right? Right. Still, this condition is not obtained, right? Next, the value for I will be 3, and the value for I will be 3, and 3 by 2, right? 12 plus 4 will be 16, right? Right. Now you can see the number of legs we have obtained, right? So only in this instance we will get the sum of legs to 16, right? So if we get that correctly, we will print I means the number of the heads and number of horses. Here we have directly used number of horses as I, and number of hens will represent these heads minus I. So I will be the number of horses, and this value heads minus I will be the number of hens, right? I hope you understood the logic. So now if we just run the code, right, the expected output is this and my output is this, right? I hope you understood the logic and got an idea of how to do similar problems and how to process the data accordingly to suit the relevant problem also. So if you still have any problem or didn't understand this, please let me know. So now we'll continue the previous problem, solving the diagonals. So you can do the problems in here, and there are solutions also that the other coders have done. So you can go through those also and learn something new there also. And you can go to solve the problem. And for example, now I went to one problem. So, right. So I went to this problem, and you will have to put your code here. It will look like this, right? It will be like this. You can select the programming language that you prefer here. So I have selected Python 3, and you can type your code here, and you can run. And finally, you need to submit the code and check whether your solution is successfully made, and it can solve all the tests.
Thank you, both of you, Mr. Ponsi Kirindana and Mr. Lahir Prabhat. I think now you all have a clear idea about programming. So this is the end of today's event. Hope to see you all tomorrow. Thank you and good night.